Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Isang makabatang araw sa lahat.
I am Maan C. Escobedo from the Learner Rights and Protection Office, and I am joined by my co-host.
Magandang araw sa ating lahat. Ako naman po si Carl Jan Salak mula sa Stairway Foundation Incorporated. And today, we are gathered here for the broadcast of the National Orientation for the DepEd Anti-Online Sexual Abuse and Exploitation of Children and Child Sexual Abuse and Exploitation Material classroom-based sessions that is in line with the Safer Internet Day Philippines 2024, which we celebrate annually.
Yes, Carl, that is in line with Presidential Proclamation number 417, Series of 2018, declaring the second Tuesday of February of every year a Safer Internet Day for children in the Philippines. And for this year, I think they have a localized theme. Tama ba, Carl?
Yes, tama ka dyan, Mamaan. This year, the localized theme is OSAEC at CSAEM, ating sugpuin. Implementasyon ng RA 11930, sama-samang patatagin. Kaya naman, atin ang simulan ng ating programa sa pambungad na mensahe mula sa ating Vice Presidente at kalihim ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon, Sara Z. Duterte, na babasahin ng ating OIC Director 4 of Bureau of Learner Support Services and Learner Rights and Protection Office, Attorney Sisette T. Ganavan Medina.
Isang makabatang araw. Today, we celebrate this year's Safer Internet Day Philippines in accordance with Presidential Proclamation number 417, Series of 2018, declaring the second Tuesday of February of every year a Safer Internet Day, aimed at raising awareness for a safer and better online space for all, especially for children. In support of the annual celebration of SIDPH and for this year's localized theme, OSAEC at CSAEM, ating sugpuin. Implementasyon ng RA 11930, sama-samang patatagin. The Department of Education, Learner Rights and Protection Office, in partnership with Stairway Foundation Incorporated, will conduct the Anti-Online Sexual Abuse and Exploitation of Children and Child Sexual Abuse or Exploitation Materials classroom-based sessions. Today, we kick off this activity through our nationwide orientation for teachers, educators, non-teaching, support personnel, parents, and stakeholders on Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM. Through these classroom-based sessions, we are looking forward to empowering our learners and increasing their resiliency against the growing crime involving OSAEC and CSAEM. Our Vice President and Secretary Sara Z. Duterte, during her 2024 Basic Education Report, has emphasized that education emphatically reiterated DepEd's zero-tolerance policy. Assalamualaikum, madayaw ug maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Good day to all of you. Imagine a world where education knows no boundaries, where knowledge flows freely through the digital realm, and where our learners are not only safeguarded but also empowered in the online universe. Today, on Safer Internet Day Philippines, we come together to turn this vision into a reality. The Department of Education, as envisioned in the Matatag Agenda, is committed to providing essential educational resources and ensuring our students' well-being. These priorities guide us as we take steps to improve our education system. We are working to provide better internet access for both teachers and students in our schools. We are also in talks with internet providers to expand this effort, all with the goal enhancing our students' digital learning experiences. The internet has the power to greatly enhance the learning experience even in remote areas. Take, for instance, Villa Maria Integrated School in Porac, Pampanga, a last-mile school benefiting from Starlink internet connection. In this school, we have a grade 10 student named Emerald, who can attest to the positive impact of this connection on her education. She shared that having reliable internet access brings her joy, especially when she needs to search for information for her daily task as a student. Gone are the days when she and her fellow learners had to climb to higher ground in their village just to get a mobile phone signal. Ladies and gentlemen, that scenario is what we want to have in every public elementary and secondary school in the country. Partnered with our initiative of providing internet to our schools is our pledge to keep our learners safe, secure, and protected from any harm the internet may bring to their holistic development. Towards this end, the Learner Rights and Protection Office has been established with a particular focus on enhancing the role of child protection committees within schools. We are steadfastly committed to enforcing a zero-tolerance policy for any forms of abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, and bullying within our educational system. Our primary emphasis is on transforming schools into safe havens that foster positive learning environments for our children. As we mark this year's Safer Internet Day in the Philippines, it is crucial to acknowledge a distressing reality. Nearly 500,000 Filipino children, or 1 in 100 children in 2022, were victims of trafficking for the production of child sexual exploitation material for profit. These findings are a result of the scale of harm study conducted by the International Justice Mission. Moreover, according to the United Nations final report titled National Study on Online Sexual Abuse and Exploitation of Children in the Philippines, our nation has sadly emerged as a global hub for the production of child sex abuse materials. Furthermore, the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center of the Department of Information and Communications Technology reports that the Philippines ranks second worldwide in online sexual abuse and exploitation of children. In response to these critical challenges, it is evident that safeguarding our learners and promoting education is a collective responsibility. Within the Department of Education, we are committed to empowering our learners by educating them about their rights and reinforcing preventive measures. We also aim to ensure that both teachers and learners are equipped to recognize and combat exploitation and abuse. This year, we have set our sights on providing our teaching personnel with training in child online protection. Through these initiatives, we seek to establish comprehensive measures that will protect and educate not only our learners, but also their parents and other stakeholders, enabling them to become responsible digital citizens, all part of the activities for Safer Internet Day Philippines. One of our ongoing efforts is the Learners Telesafe Contact Center helpline to enhance our responsiveness. This helpline is designed to assist learners, teachers, parents, and stakeholders who have reported incidents of abuse, exploitation, violence, and bullying within the school environment. This is just the beginning of our journey as we develop a helpline that complements our matatag framework for the safety and well-being of all. I extend my gratitude to the Stairway Foundation Incorporated for partnering with DepEd in this endeavor today. Much still needs to be done to address the pressing challenges, but together, we can and will make change happen. With the support of our educators, parents, stakeholders, and partners, we shall strive to overcome so more learners like Emerald will be happy and protected in using a safer internet for all. Hanggat may batang nangangarap, mananatili tayong matatag para sa kanilang kinabukasan. Para sa isang matatag na Pilipinas, para sa isang bansang makabata at batang makabansa. Ang lahat po ng ating ginagawa ay para sa Diyos, sa bayan at sa pamilyang Pilipino. Shukran.
Thank you for that message, Director Zet, and for reading the conveyed message of our Honorable Vice President and Secretary of Education, Sara Z. Duterte. Naho, mamaan, sobrang nakaka-alarma nga na isa ang Pilipinas sa listahan ng Global Hub in terms of child sexual abuse and exploitation material production.
Kaya naman, to know more about how we can address the challenges posed by OSAEC and CSAEM, we now move forward to a crucial segment of our program, and that is to discuss the role in ensuring the safety and protection of our children online. To guide us through these important provisions, we are honored to have Attorney Kit Magsaysay, the Executive Director of the National Coordinating Council for OSAEC and CSAEM, who will shed light into the critical provisions of RA 11930.
Hello, everyone. I am Attorney Kit Magsaysay, the OIC Executive Director of the National Coordination Center against OSAEC and CSAEM. In this presentation, I will be discussing the salient provisions of Republic Act 11930, or the Anti-Online Sexual Abuse or Exploitation of Children, and Anti-Child Sexual Abuse or Exploitation Materials Act. I want to begin by sharing data and statistics from studies showing the prevalence of OSAEC in the Philippines. And then I'll move on to the introduction of Republic Act 11930, or the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act, and finally, to the salient provisions of the law. The Philippines is the largest known source of cases of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children from 2010 and 2017, making it a global hotspot for OSAEC. The figures in this slide shows that the Philippines received more than 8 times as many case referrals as any other country the International Justice Mission identified in its study. In 2021, UNICEF found that 1 in 10 children in the Philippines had been put in unwanted sexual situations online, ranging from receiving sexual requests from strangers to being sent unwanted sexual content online. Republic Act 11930, or the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act, offers a modern solution to this modern problem. The law recognizes the vital role played by the internet and digital technologies in the development of children. In fact, the law expressly states that children have the right to useful, meaningful, and safe access to digital technologies for their civil, political, cultural, economic, and social enrichment. At the same time, the law acknowledges that ease of access to the internet has a caveat. Children having the World Wide Web at their fingertips also means that they are within a click's reach of predators online. To address this problem, the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act was enacted to protect children from all forms of violence online. The law gives examples of abuse and exploitation that may be committed with or without the use of information and communications technology. First, performances and materials made through online or offline means or both. And second, convincing or forcing a child to engage or be involved in the production of child sexual abuse or exploitation materials through any means. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act endeavors to combat OSAEC and CSAEM through the cooperation among government agencies, courts of law, legislative bodies, social welfare institutions, and private business enterprises. The law was crafted in such a way that every child's entire community is involved in their protection. As teachers, the caretakers and guardians of children, you too have a role in ensuring that every child can safely explore the cyberspace. This starts with knowing the salient features of the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act that you can use to empower children. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act defines OSAEC as a specific crime distinct from offenses under Republic Act No. 7610 or the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act, and Republic Act No. 9208 or the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act as amended. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act also builds on the gains of Republic Act No. 9775 or the Anti-Child Pornography Act of 2009. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act expands the terms child pornography and child pornography materials to online sexual abuse or exploitation materials and child sexual abuse or exploitation materials, thereby increasing the scope of punishable acts. Under the law, OSAEC is defined as the use of ICT or information and communications technology as a means to sexually abuse and or exploit children. It includes cases wherein offline child abuse and or exploitation is combined with an online component. CSAEM, on the other hand, is any representation, offline or by means of ICT, or a combination of both, of a child engaged in involved or real or simulated sexual activities. It also includes depictions of acts of sexual abuse or exploitation of a child as a sexual object. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act extends its protection beyond the biological definition of a child. For purposes of the Act, a child is defined as a person who is below 18 years old or over 18 years old, but is unable to fully take care or protect themselves because of a disability or condition, or of any age depicted or portrayed as a child. And number two, digitally or manually crafted image of a person who is made to appear as a child. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act allows concerned third persons to file a complaint, such as the offended party, parents and guardians, relatives up to the third degree of consanguinity, officers of licensed child caring institutions, officers of the DSWD, local social welfare development officers, barangay officials, at least 3 concerned citizens residing in the place where the violation took place, any person who has personally observed or experienced the commission of the offense. On the other hand, anyone can report incidents of OSAEC to the authorities. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act requires private entities to report instances of OSAEC and CSAEM. These private entities include internet intermediaries, which are entities that host third-party owned content on the internet, like Facebook and TikTok. Number 2, internet service providers, which are public telecommunications entities that provide data connection and access to the internet, like PLDT and Globe. Number 3, payment service providers, which are entities engaged in monetary transactions and provide digital money services, like banks. And number 4, internet hotspots, cafes, and kiosks, which are establishments that offer access to the internet, like hotels and restaurants, or offer the use of its computers for internet access. Under the law, internet intermediaries, including social media networks, are required to, among others, block and remove child sexual abuse and exploitation materials within 24 hours from receipt of notice, preserve evidence in their possession, and develop and adopt systems and procedures for preventing, blocking, detecting, and reporting OSAEC cases. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act mandates the provision of services for child victim survivors. This includes counseling, free legal services, medical or psychological services, emergency shelter or appropriate housing, livelihood and skills training, and educational assistance. Protection and assistance services to children shall be provided in a child-sensitive, gender-responsive, disability-inclusive, culture-sensitive, victim-centered, trauma-informed, and safe manner. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act authorizes the confiscation and forfeiture of proceeds, tools, and instruments used in CSAEM. The proceeds from the sale of properties used in the commission of CSAEM shall be used exclusively for the child rearing programs under the special account of the DSWD. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act also mandates the creation of the OSAEC and CSAEM Offenders Registry. The registry shall include both Filipino and foreign offenders, foreigners who are convicted of OSAEC and CSAEM within or outside the Philippines shall be barred entry in the country. Foreigners who are being monitored by Philippine law enforcement authorities for the same crimes shall also be barred entry in the country. The offender registry shall protect the public and keep them informed, and will be helpful for authorities to use to monitor and track offenders. The Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM Act also established the National Coordination Center against OSAEC and CSAEM. The NCC OSAEC CSAEM will develop and implement the necessary programs that will prevent the commission of OSAEC and CSAEM, as well as protect, heal, and reintegrate the child into the mainstream of society. Such programs includes the following. Number 1, provision of mandatory services. Number 2, sponsorship of a national research program on OSAEC and CSAEM. Number 3, develop and maintain communications, education, and information campaigns at the national, local, and community levels. Number 4, develop and implement a strategic plan of action that details the plans, programs, and activities of the NCC OSAEC CSAEM. Number 5, monitor and evaluate all matters relative to the implementation of the law. Number 6, develop a monitoring and data collection system or database to ensure collection of all OSAEC and CSAEM cases. Number 7, establish a point of contact and coordination system with international organizations for the receipt of reports on OSAEC and CSAEM. Number 8, promote information, awareness, and education campaigns and e-learning modules regarding safe and responsible use of the Internet. And number 9, institutionalize the observance of Safer Internet Day for Filipino children. And that concludes my presentation. I'd like to leave you with this reminder. It is imperative that we continue to intensify our coordinated efforts in addressing OSAEC, which is a vile technological form of exploitation that provides offenders convenient access to minors and has largely shielded them from law enforcement detection and intervention. But not anymore. We are in this fight together, and we at the Department of Justice and the NCC OSAEC CSAEM look forward and endeavor to further work with child protection actors, including teachers, to put an end to OSAEC. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Kit, for discussing a complex matter and simplifying it for us, allowing us to gain a wealth of knowledge on the salient provisions of RA 11930.
Now, let us continue our exploration into the crucial facets of child protection in the digital realm. We shall now have an overview of child protection online concerns to be presented by one of our partners from the Stairway Foundation, none other than Kuya Ace Diloy.
Isang makabatang araw, ang Stairway Foundation ay nakikiisa sa Department of Education at Learner Rights and Protection Office sa pagdiriwang ng National Safer Internet Day for Children Philippines 2024 through this national orientation on the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions. Sa ating session ngayong araw, atin pong tatalakayin ang iba't ibang mga child online protection concerns na maaring makaharap ng mga bata at ia-address ng Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions. Isang trigger warning, this session talks about sexual violence. Ang mga bata ay pwedeng maka-encounter ng iba't ibang child online protection concerns. Ito ay ang content, contact, conduct, at contract. Pag-uusapan po natin isa-isa ang mga ito. Under the content, ang mga bata ay pwedeng maka-encounter ng iba't ibang unsafe content online. At sa konteksto nga po ng OSAEC and CSAEM, ito ang sexually explicit content online. Ang mga bata ay pwedeng maka-encounter ng dalawang klaseng sexually explicit content online. Ang una ay content which depicts sexually explicit content of adults. At ang pangalawa ay ang child sexual abuse materials na diniscuss na kanina sa RA 11930. Sa research na Philippine Kids Online Study of 2021, 1 in 4 or about 25% ng mga bata ang na-expose na sa sexual images online. Ngayon, bakit hindi nga ba ligtas ang sexually explicit content online para sa mga bata? Bukod sa ito ay age inappropriate, most contents like this depicts violence against women. And this is something that we have to be mindful of because it might influence children and change their value system towards vulnerable sectors like women and children as well. Ang pangalawa namang child online protection concern na i-discuss natin ay ang contact. Under this concern, ang mga bata ay pwedeng maka-encounter ng mga adults online who might be risky or unsafe. And this is primarily done via online grooming. Ang online grooming ay ang pagkakaroon ng interaction ng mga adults online sa mga bata at kinukuha ang kanilang mga tiwala for the purposes of sexual abuse or exploitation later. Sa Philippine Kids Online Study of 2021, isa sa 7 bata ang naka-receive na ng sexual messages online. And eventually, ang online grooming ay maaring mag-lead to sextortion. Ang sextortion ang blackmailing sa mga bata for the purposes of sexual abuse or exploitation later. Ito ay dinidiscuss sa Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions. Ngayon, ang pangatlo naman ay ang conduct, harms, or risk. Under conduct, harms, and risks, ang mga bata themselves ay maaring magkaroon ng unsafe or risky interactions amongst them. At sa context ng OSAEC and CSAEM, ito ang self-generated child sexual abuse or exploitation materials or self-generated sexually explicit content of children. The main concern we have right now is that children themselves, aside from generating these content, might also share them to other people, whether sharing it to other children and youth or unfortunately even other adults who might abuse these images. Sa Philippine Kids Online Study of 2021, makikita natin na across different age ranges nagkakaroon na ng gantong behavior. And in a more localized study done by Stairway Foundation in Puerto Galera, Oriental Mindoro, 407 out of 1,000 students said that they have posted, streamed, or shared sexual content already. Via the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions, magkakaroon ng age-appropriate and safe discussions about this issue. And more importantly, magkakaroon ng discussion on how children can safely navigate the online world, preventing abuse and harm against them. Last but not the least is what we call contract. Under this harms and risks, nagkakaroon na ng commercial sexual exploitation of children. At usually ito ay ginagawa via live streaming sexual abuse. Sa isang pag-aaral na ginawa ng International Justice Mission ng 2023, isa sa 100 bata or 1 in 100 children in the Philippines have already been victimized via live streaming sexual abuse and exploitation. Ito yung iba't ibang online harms and risks na maaring ma-encounter ng ating mga learners, kung kaya't napaka-importante ang Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions. Dahil via these sessions, magkakaroon ng age-appropriate and safe discussions about these different issues at eventually gusto natin magkaroon ng increase in protective behavior sa mga bata. Para sa ating mga guro, ito rin ay isang opportunity in order for us to potentially detect learners who might be already victims of such abuse and refer them via the appropriate DepEd case management processes and protocols. Muli po, ang Stairway Foundation ay nakikiisa sa DepEd and Learner Rights and Protection Office para sa pagdiriwang ng National Safer Internet Day for Children Philippines 2024. Makabatang araw po sa ating lahat.
Salamat muli, Kuya Ace from the Stairway Foundation Incorporated.
We now move on to the next part of our program. This segment delves deeply into the practical aspects of our commitment, the deep dive into the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based session to be presented by Ma'am Carmencita Aguas from the DepEd Bureau of Learning Delivery.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako si Carmen Aguas from the Bureau of Learning Delivery. Today, I will be sharing with you guidelines for the effective and safe delivery of the DepEd Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions. Ano nga ba itong DepEd Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions? So, this is about an initiative of the Department of Education in order to address problem on an online sexual abuse and exploitation of children. And this is a memorandum issued last January 8, 2024. And the implementation is through the partnership and collaboration of the Learners' Rights and Protection Office and the Curriculum and Teaching and Stairway Foundation. So, itong classroom-based na ito ay this is composed of 1 to 2 hour sessions with learners to be delivered by the class advisors within the month of February in celebration of the Safer Internet Day Philippines. And the delivery of these sessions are supported by a presentation. We have prepared customized PowerPoints with consideration per key stage areas. No, these presentations comes with scripts and basic guidelines for delivery. But we have to be mindful, teachers, that schools are required to report back in terms of the number of learners reached via the session, and if there might be learners who will be disclosing, we need to report it. The template is provided on the issued memorandum by the Learners' Rights Office. So, what's in the presentation deck? Alam nyo, mga kaguro, we prepared the materials in consideration of the age, the key stages, specifically for key stage 1 and 2, for high school group, and to be exact, the slide decks for the key stage 1 is around 6 slides, no? So, you will be provided with the slide decks with videos to springboard the activities before the start of the discussion. So, you can see from my presentation that the slide decks are provided this way, no? There are guide questions in order for the discussion relative to the issue of OSAEC and CSAEM. And these are age-appropriate. Teachers, you will see on the slide deck that there are portions provided for activities. And there are also discussions that focuses on building up protective skills of the learners. Specifically, makikita niyo po sa aking slide deck. For junior high school, there are additional discussions on staying safe in social media, which included also, that is included in the slide deck. So makikita nyo na pinrepare talaga itong mga slide deck na to para hindi na kayo mahihirapan pa sa paghahanda, no? So, there are guidelines in delivering the Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions. Guideline number 1. Napaka-importante. We need to understand our learners and tailor-fit the presentation. So, paano natin yung gagawin? Nako, teacher, there are pedagogical approaches wherein we can deliver the slides. So, it is encouraged that we customize them depending on the age of your learner. Guideline number 2, be sensitive. What do we mean by be sensitive? We need to recognize that there might be the gravity of the issue while we avoid unnecessary distress to your learners. Ano yun? Please take note na baka while presenting the video, may mga reaction ng mga bata. Although, pinilit na maging dahan-dahan banayad ang presentation ng video. But there might be concerning problem on this. So our goal, take note, is to empower our learners. Because we want them that they'll come out after the session na merong sense of strength and resilience. Guidelines number 3. Please take note to use age-appropriate language and examples. So, paano yan? Biba, kilala natin ang ating mga mag-aaral. Ano bang uri ng language ang kaya nilang unawain? Ano ba yung konteksto ng kanilang cognitive skills? Iakma natin doon. Guidelines number 4, we need to stay informed. So, ano nga ba itong OSAEC and CSAEM na ito? Please take note that you can access this material on the memo provided, no? Meron din tayong guidelines featured and the links are provided on the memo relative to the Child Protection Law session guides, no? And guideline number 5, nakikiusap po kami, napaka-importante nito. We need to ensure that as we do the session, there is what we call safe session space. Anong ibig sabihin natin ng safe session space? Una, di ba, igagather natin ang mga bata. We ask them, ano yung ating rule? Remind learners that if they feel unnecessary or they feel uneasy during the discussion o baka during the presentation of the video pa lang, may mararamdaman na kayo. Makikita nyo yung mga facial gestures nila. Be prepared, ha? Be prepared to address difficult questions, no? But, please take note na meron kang simpatya considering that many of the topics may be new to them. Guideline number 6, be alert to non-verbal cues. So, teacher, di ba sinabi ko kanina bahagi ng guidelines ay we need to be sensitive. This time, pakiramdaman mo rin yung mga body languages nila, no? Baka kasi meron ng pinaprompt yung mga body languages na yun. And that might signal discomfort or distress. So, look out for signs, teacher, that there might be hyperactivity. Hindi ko na i-mention lahat na makikita niyo sa slides, but be mindful of the unusual fears which might be presented on the body gestures and facial expressions of your learner. Guideline number 7. Of course, there will be specific presentation on handling disclosures. Pero gusto ko lang daanan din para lang we'll all be on one page relative to disclosures of learners. So, paano natin to gagawin? So, before addressing the disclosure, please, teacher, be reminded that choose an area na walang makakarinig sa inyo. Baka katabi, kapitbahay nyo, yung perpetuator. Naku, make sure, teacher, that walang makakadinig na iba, the door is not locked, and windows are open dun sa area wherein magkuusap kayo ng learner. Pero syempre, there has to be privacy also, but be very careful na yung privacy na sinasabi ko ay safety pa rin ang inag-uusapan natin dito. No? Note natin, no locked doors, no closed windows. When your learners nagsimula na magkwento, please, let us show that hindi tayo judgmental sa kanila habang nakikinig. Let's just be there, expressing our empathy. And makinig lang tayo. Should there be instances na habang nagkukwento ang bata ay huminto, i-allow lang natin. Pabayaan lang natin siyang i-compose ang sarili niya at ma-express niya kung ano yung gusto niyang sabihin. Let's wait for the child to be ready para ituloy ang conversation. Teacher, i-assure natin ng bata, di ba habang nagkukwento yan, maaaring napakataas ng kanyang emosyon. Ano lang, kalma lang tayo at encourage natin ng bata na hindi niya kasalanan. I-validate natin ang kanyang feelings. And i-assure natin na ang presensya mo ay paraan ng ekspresyon na nandun ka para tumulong, para magbigay ng proactive steps kung ano yung mabuting gawin sa mga susunod nating hakbang. Ipaalala natin, i-assure natin ng learner natin na responsibilidad nating mangguro na tumulong sa mga bata na nagdi-disclose tungkol sa mga pang-aabusong kanilang nararanasan. Take note, teacher. Assure them na andun ka. Your presence is your assurance na tutulungan mo siya like the school head and the guidance personnel. Pero sabihin mo rin sa kanya, paano mo siya tutulungan, paano at ano ang maaari niyang asahan sa mga tulong na ibibigay mo. Once our learner is ready for referral, of course, it may take some time. Hintayin mo when the child is ready. Please make sure na sinunod natin yung reporting process stated in the DepEd order, no? The DepEd Child Protection Policy. There is a protocol that we need to follow. Kung ang bata ay nagsasabi sa iyo na, teacher, natatakot po ako kung ire-report natin ito, please. Sabihan natin ng bata na ating katungkulan ito. Tayo, bilang kanilang pangalawang magulang sa paaralan, tayo ang may katungkulan bilang authority nila sa paaralan, importante na gawin nating mai-report ito. Importante na mabigyan sila ng assistance kasi kung hindi mararamdaman ng bata na may guro, may paaralan na tumutulong, saan sila lalapit? Kaya mahalaga na ating bigyan ng assurance ang mga bata na nag-o-open up sa atin, nagde-disclose on issues of abuse. Pero syempre, huwag natin kakalimutan ng self-care, no? Syempre, bakit? We acknowledge na napakabigat ng emotional toll ng pag-handle ng disclosure, di ba? Ako, as a practicing counselor, I can feel your anxiety as a teacher whenever you'll hear this particular issues on abuse. Pero, make sure you access support from your guidance counselor, from a friend na sa tingin nyo, maaaring magbigay ng support sa inyo o ma-debrief kayo doon sa impact na narinig nyo o yung naramdaman nyong emosyon habang nakikinig kayo sa issues on child abuse, no? Kasi napaka-importante talaga yan. You need to consider na maipahatid nyo. Ano ba yung naranasan nyo habang nakikinig kayo dun sa batang nag-disclose? Specifically, sa inyong guidance counselor or guidance personnel for additional assistance kasi sila ang proper authority teacher para mag-guide sa inyo. Ano ang gagawin yung next steps? Kasi I'm giving emphasis on this kasi I understand that not everybody is trained to handle this issue. Kaya nariyan ang ating proper authorities sa inyong eskwelahan ay para turuan kayo kung ano ang next step or kung paano natin ma-assist ang ating mga learners na nag-undergo ng mga ganitong concern sa ating classroom. Yan. At by the way, we'd like to thank the Schools Division of Quezon. May mga kabataan po tayo from SDO Quezon City na nag-provide ng valuable inputs para sa ating Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM presentation decks. Kaya, ito pong materials na ito ay na-validate nila and we are very grateful for their inputs at in-incorporate po namin ang lahat ng kanilang inputs. Teacher, in closing, gusto kong iwanan sa inyo ang lagi nating napabasang quotation. No? It's an African proverb, pero naging paborito ko na to. It takes a village to raise a child. Kasi tinitingnan ko, naniniwala ako na ang komunidad natin ang bumubuo at nagbubuo kung anuman ang kahinatnan ng isang mag-aaral. So, maraming salamat. Thank you for making a difference every day. Ako po si Carmen Aguas. Nariyan po ang aking contact number, ang aking email address. Kung meron man kayong nais isang guni o i-clarify, feel free na i-email nyo lang po ako.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Carmen. We hope the session helped further clarify our shared mission of conducting the DepEd Anti-OSAEC and CSAEM classroom-based sessions and how our teachers can make use of the templates and guide scripts in their discussions.
Nagpaalala din si Ma'am Carmen sa tamang pagtugon ng ating mga guro in case there will be disclosures during their classroom sessions.
Mahalaga yan, mamaan. Now, our next topic is crucial, especially on the referral aspect. We have Ms. Camille Grace Cariaga from the Learner Rights and Protection Office of DepEd who will guide us through the intricacies of handling and reporting disclosures.
Isang makabatang araw, I am Camille Cariaga, one of the members of the Learner Rights and Protection Office. One of the important tasks in child protection is the reporting of incidents of abuse, exploitation, bullying, violence, and neglect. Reports are received either through the parents of the learners or the children themselves. When the children disclose, it is never easy for them and not easy for the school personnel as well. As a teacher, guidance counselor, or advocate, there might be a lot of things going through your head right now. From trying to remember the procedures in our DepEd orders to asking the right questions and even asking yourself, should I be handling this disclosure in the first place? That's why we will discuss how to handle disclosure of learners. We will answer to whom a child can disclose his or her situation. We will also answer why children disclose to their teachers. And as DepEd personnel, what should we do if there is a learner who would want to disclose? Children in schools often seek the help of their teachers, especially their advisors. They also go to their guidance counselor or guidance advocate as the proper authority. Usually, learners disclose their feelings and experiences about abuse, bullying, and other incidents to people who have significance in their lives and to someone they find trustworthy, such as their teachers. Hence, teachers should show empathy towards their learners. Also, teachers are responsible for their students while they are under a teacher's supervision, instruction, or custody. Hence, teachers should be supportive and not dismissive in case of disclosures. So for teachers and to any school personnel, here are the things that we should do and remember during the disclosures of abuse and bullying. In summary, here are the guidelines in handling disclosures. We will go through it one by one. First, we must report and help the child. We need to report the incident to the proper authorities using the referral system under DepEd Order No. 40 Series of 2012 and DepEd Order No. 55 Series of 2013. In cases of abuse, we should only seek help for the child and not obliged to approach the abuser because that is the job of the police. However, in cases of bullying, DepEd Order No. 55 Series of 2013 mandated any school personnel to immediately respond to incidents of bullying. Second, we need to reassure the child that it is okay to tell what happened. Say no to victim blaming by ensuring that the child does not feel that he or she is to be blamed. Tell the child that it is not his or her fault. Say no to victim blaming by ensuring that the child does not feel that he or she is to be blamed. Tell the child that it is not his or her fault. Third, we need to tell the child what to expect. This means that you need to tell the child that you will have to report to the authorities eventually. If a child pleads with you not to report, you have to explain to him or her the process of reporting and referral. Make the child understand that the incident of abuse and bullying shall be reported and acted upon. You may also seek the help of a registered guidance counselor to help you deal with the child. As the child's confidant, teachers should be calm, understanding, and supportive in handling the disclosure. You should not overreact and not affect the learner's emotions. You may also change your body language in such a way that the learner would feel comfortable. To understand the learner better, you should let them speak at their own pace. As supported by our DepEd orders on child protection and anti-bullying, a teacher should also document the disclosure to avoid making the child repeat the disclosure to another person. First is to accomplish the intake sheet required by DO 40 Series of 2012 and DO 55 Series of 2013. Next, the teacher to whom the learner disclosed should record complete, accurate, unbiased, and factual documentation. During the documentation, person in charge should use open questions and not leading ones. The documenter should also use the specific terms that the child used in his or her testimony. Lastly, after the disclosure, the personnel to whom the child disclosed should monitor the child closely, check her performance in school, and refer the child to a registered guidance counselor. Aside from the guidelines, any school personnel should also follow the reporting procedures under DepEd Order No. 40 Series of 2012 and DepEd Order No. 55 Series of 2013. In cases where the perpetrator is a personnel of the department, the school head or the school's division superintendent should forward the complaint to the disciplining authority within 48 hours from receipt thereof. The disciplining authority should order a fact-finding investigation not later than 72 hours from the receipt of the complaint. If the perpetrator is not a personnel, for example, if a relative or a family member of the child is the perpetrator of online sexual abuse or exploitation, the school must still act on it. In such case, the school head is tasked to convene the Child Protection Committee of the school to accomplish the intake sheet and refer the matter to the proper authorities, like the Philippine National Police Women and Children's Protection Desk or the local Social Welfare and Development Office. This is where the police and social workers will come in. For bullying cases, all DepEd personnel should remember these 5 steps. First, in bullying cases, any learner can call the attention of any school personnel. By stopping the bullying or retaliation immediately, separating the students involved, removing the victim, or in appropriate cases, the bully or offending student from the site of bullying, and ensuring the victim's safety, and bringing the bully to the guidance office or any designated school personnel. Step 2. Any bullying incident can be reported to the school head or any person designated to handle bullying cases. After reporting and accomplishing the intake sheet, the school head calls the attention of the parents of the children involved. If the children are from different schools, the head of the other school is also given notice so that both schools can take prompt action. Step 3. For fact-finding and documentation, in this phase, the principal or any person in charge should separately interview in private the bully or offending student and the victim. In this case, the school should inform the parents or guardian of the learners involved. Step 4. The CPC determines the appropriate intervention programs for the victim, the bully, and the bystanders. The school head shall ensure that these are provided to them. The Child Protection Committee determines the appropriate intervention programs for the victim, the bully, and the bystanders. The school head shall ensure that these are provided to them. For the last step in handling bullying cases, the school head or the Child Protection Committee may refer the victims and the bully to trained professionals outside the school such as social workers, guidance counselors, psychologists, or child protection specialists for further assessment and appropriate intervention measures as may be necessary. Cases of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, as well as cyberbullying and its other forms, may be reported to the Learners Telesafe Contact Center helpline. You can contact us through landline 02-8632-1372 and through mobile 0945-175-9777. You may also send documents and attachments to our email at weprotectlearners@deped.gov.ph. Thank you.
Good day. First of all, I would like to express my sincerest thanks to Attorney Suzette Ganaban Medina, all of the members of the Learner Rights and Protection Office, and the Stairway Foundation Incorporated, our esteemed guests, and everyone gathered here today, giving me the opportunity to welcome you all as you walk towards your chosen path of protecting the Filipino children. Although this path is fraught with heartbreak and tears, giving the children a fighting chance against abuse and exploitation is rewarding work nonetheless. It is a truth known and most accepted that children are the keys to the future. They are sources of untapped potential and unmined brilliance, waiting for the opportune time to unleash their talents into the world. While these are all true, it is also true that children do not have the capacity to protect themselves from the darker and harsher truths of reality: abuse, violence, poverty, and disparity. With the changing times come the varied forms of abuse, exploitation, and violence committed against the children. One shining example would be the perpetration of online sexual abuse against them. In fact, in a study conducted by the UNICEF, 80% of Filipino children are vulnerable to online sexual abuse, often facilitated by the people they should be able to trust. Online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, or OSAEC, is a complex phenomenon that needs a multidisciplinary approach and the concerted effort of different government units at the national and local levels, non-government agencies, international agencies and organizations, and interagency councils. As such, we at the Department of Education, through the Learner Rights and Protection Office, continuously develop and implement plans and projects towards the protection of all Filipino children against all forms of abuse. Thus, the LRPO and SFI have collaborated to launch the Safer Internet Day Philippines and orientation on the anti-online sexual abuse and exploitation of children and anti-child sexual abuse and exploitation materials classroom-based sessions. This will serve as a national orientation of teachers on Anti-OSAEC and Anti-CSAEM to increase awareness and ensure the implementation of such policies in schools. Today, as we work towards providing a safer internet space for the children, we must remember the call to action of Nelson Mandela. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in any society, a life free from violence and fear. We must do our utmost best to shield and nourish the inherent light of the children, and to make this world a safer and brighter place than the one we found. We must lead a life of fairness, caring, and integrity, because as role models and parents, it is us who our children will remember when faced with challenges in the future. Again, I would like to thank Attorney Suzette Ganaban Medina, all of the members of the Learner Rights Protection Office, and the Stairway Foundation Incorporated, our esteemed guests, and our participants for embracing the challenge of safeguarding the rights of the Filipino children and renewing their promise to set goal. Already, I offer my warmest congratulations to the whole LRPO and SFI team for a successful event. Lagit-lagi para sa bata at para sa bayan. Mabuhay kayong lahat. Thank you, USEC RevC, for skillfully wrapping up our program, leaving us with insights to reflect upon and a renewed sense of purpose. As we draw the curtains on this impactful Safer Internet Day celebration here in the Philippines, we are filled with gratitude